And when the teachers show that united front, because they have that union, if they show that united front and them and the students lead this, there's no way that we can lose with that. I think.
Every generation of longshore workers has had their battle. My dad's generation had their battle. My great uncle's generation had their battle. Ever since the 1930s, we've been standing up for the rights of working people. In the port of Oakland and San Francisco, right here in the Bay Area, is where it all started. In 1934, we had a general strike. That general strike was for the right of workers to live and to prosper.
All right, this is a beautiful sight. It is beautiful to see so many folks out here, to see the port, the longshore workers, and the teachers, the students, and the parents united. This is exactly what we need. We need to unite and fight, because I know that we cannot win this on our own. And I'm speaking as a teacher, we need the solidarity of everybody that's here.
What our schools need in Oakland, our schools need investment from the city, not closures. Now, the reason we're here today, because the ILWU has understood this since the 1930s. We understand that gentrification disproportionately affects the Black and brown community. Okay? All of the cities that we talked about earlier are all Black and brown communities. All of the schools that are set for closure are in Black and brown communities, because Black and brown people are always disproportionately negatively affected.
I just want to assure the teachers in the room that the longshoremen are dedicated to this fight to the end. I'm not a man of many words, but I am a man of action. And when I tell you we're going to be with this to the end, we're going to finish the job.
This is a start. And where I envision this organization going, that we're going to start tonight, I envision it going way past this fight and on to bigger fight.
At the end of January, the Oakland School Board announced that they wanted to close. At that time, it was 16 schools. There was an immediate community uprising, and there were strikes, there were walkouts, parents were taking action, a hunger strike began. There was all kinds of activity.
One thing we all have in common is that we're all working people here. Okay, whether you're a longshoreman, whether you're a teacher, okay, whether you're a mail carrier, whether you're a radio host, we are all workers. Workers are not represented very well in the United States of America.
All of those schools are located in the flats. So we're talking about East Oakland schools, we're talking about working class Black and brown students, Black and Indigenous students. What are they going to do? Why do they want to close the schools? They say it's because the schools are under-enrolled. Well, really what they want to do is create surplus property.
Reverse these school closures, that's a short-term goal. If we can reverse, and put a stop to the ACE proposed development, that's a short-term goal. The longer-term goal is to build a long-standing coalition, in my head.
I like all these smaller actions building up to something bigger. My sense is just off the agenda, but kind of what the power is right? That we could go on strike at least one day, shut down the port, shut down the schools, right?
Teachers, these people are up here flexing their power. They are flexing their power, and we are coming to them asking. We have unions for a reason. We have unions for a reason. We have unions for a reason. Why can't we strike to show them where our power is? Why do we have to write to the judge to ask the judge to help stop this when we can go strike tomorrow? Our families support us. We can set up hubs and community centers to take care of families' kids while the teachers on the streets striking. This is how we gotta handle these folks. April 29th, teachers, if y'all don't make that one day happen, I'm questioning what we're doing.
I hate that they're closing this school now and closing the other schools next year because that's really not fair. I've been here my whole life and the memories that I've had here are basically the best memories that I've had. Every time it's summer, I want to go back to school because of the people here.
I mean, we're striking for school closures, very specifically for school closures, which I don't think has been done before. And it's not just the affected sites, but every site within OUSD.
Right. And what do you think about the fact that it's going to be not only teachers who are striking today, but that longshore workers are going to be joining us at a rally, and that there'll be a community picket and probably a shutdown of the port?
Yeah, I think that's great. Like, we need more worker solidarity. We need to show that we have each other's backs. It's much more impactful when it's more than one union.
It's the one percenters that are taking over, trying to take over the port, trying to take over our town, starting with our schools, continuing the school to prison pipeline power. We have to show the people that we elected office that turn their backs and have different ideas about what they want to do with the city, that they don't have the power. What we're doing is showing them that we have the power.
We're here today. I think you see all the attacks on public education around the country right now. People who are doing the same thing in Oakland. I think how it's showing up here is there's people that want to end public education as we know it. And a lot of that is a real estate grab, the same kind of thing that we see as privatizing public space, public resources at the Port of Oakland. So we're in solidarity with the longshore workers 100%.
I think it's important that we show United Front as a union, and this is also something that our parents have been really strongly advocating for, is to see, the union take action and for us to fight. Even if it's not your school that's affected, it could be in the future, and really it's affecting all of the entire school district right now. We're seeing this movement of charter schools, right, privatization of public education, but we're also seeing the powers of unions coming forward. We've seen Amazon, pushing for their union, Starbucks, and that's what we need right now in this era of capital takeover, right? We need the working class and the laborers and the folks that are on the ground to start coming together to push back. And what's happening in Oakland is going to completely change the demographics of the city. Whether it's the port taking over the port or shutting down these schools in East Oakland with their black and brown students, it's gonna change the demographics of Oakland. So it's really a fight for Oakland. any coalition where you can bring, you know, forces together to create more power is like, why not? You know, why not bring these two powerful unions together to fight for Oakland, fight for the port, fight for our schools.
Me siento tan orgullosa de ver aquí a los maestros siempre luchando, los alumnos.
I feel so much pride, and I'm so proud that that the teachers are here on strike.
Incluso puedo decir que ellos pueden ser sus padres.
And also, the teachers also could be the parents as well.
Porque ellos entienden qué tan importante es la educación.
Yeah, because they understand how important education is.
Verlos aquí luchar y enseñarles a mis hijos que ustedes son ejemplo.
That they're showing the kids that a good example of what they deserve.
Se los agradezco.
She's very grateful for everyone here.
Privatization is taking on a lot of different forms, school closures, and they're also trying to privatize the Howard Terminal, which is a port that ILWU, Local 10 workers work out of, and they don't want that A stadium to be built there because there's a billionaire who's trying to just privatize resources in Oakland, and we fighting back because we want those resources to stay in the hands of the people. And we'll be damned if we let them take our port, and we're definitely not letting them take our schools. I think there's a lot of things we can do as far as redistributing the wealth. I think that we should definitely tax the hell out of them because they do not pay their fair share of taxes. I think that we should keep public property in public hands, and then with those taxes used to really invest in our public properties, really invest in the port, really invest in the schools. It could be used for a lot of different community, benefits.
Let me ask you one question. Is your money that good? Could it buy you forgiveness? Do you think that it should? And when did you find that when death takes its toll, all the money you made will never buy back your soul?
And that we're showing up in solidarity with other labor unions. I think that it's absolutely essential that the different industries, different fields come together in labor solidarity to show the power of workers against the people who are standing to profit off of this land, off of these communities, particularly from money that's coming from outside and then not at all funneling into the communities that actually need it most.
We need to go on strike, honestly, indefinitely, until there's no more school closures and no more privatization from the inside, like with New Leaders for New Schools, no more backdoor room deals with these organizations that are closing our schools.
And what do you think about this united front with the longshore workers and other unions today?
I think it's really great because when unions work together and when we fight for what can seem like each other's causes, you can realize that it's a shared cause. So John Fisher and the Fisher family, which are also responsible, I think he's on like the board for KIPS public schools. All these issues are connected. We need to band together, and that's honestly the only way forward.
Oakland is a union town. Get up, get down. Oakland is a union town. Get up, get down. Oakland is a union town. Get up, get down. Oakland protects my youth from the town. Get up, get down. Oakland protects my youth from the town. Get up, get down. Let's give it up for our kids. The children are leading this. They are leading by example. So when we gather like this, we got to make sure that we're teaching our kids something. That's my baby right there. That's Demi. So from this day forward, we fight
for our kids until they can fight for themselves. The working class people need to be acknowledged. We're no longer going to let executive boards make decisions on the members' backs and not listen to them. We are going to work as a unit and a team.
And I'm here today to let the community know that teachers have your back, that we will not tolerate these school closures. We will fight alongside you. We are so upset that Parker and La Escuelita and Community Day are being closed, and we will not allow another school to be closed. And we're also here to show our solidarity with the ILWU, the longshore workers who are fighting their own privatization at the port. We will not let that happen either. SLAP is an attempt to pull together a coalition that will chase the gentrifiers out of Oakland. Give Oakland back.
As a resident of East Oakland for more than 40 years, the attacks on brown and black communities are nonstop and visible. We have the highest pollution levels in the state of California, highest cases of gun violence, high food insecurity, illegal dumping, the highest unemployment. And the only hope that we have as a community in East Oakland are our schools. So when you close our schools, you're not only destroying the future of parents in East Oakland, but putting our children in danger.
When your hearts are filled with love, you can't sit by and watch a school close down 12 schools. You won't sit back and watch 3 schools struggle this year and not do anything about it, right? So that's my message to you all, to fill your hearts with love. And sometimes love looks like fighting. And I think it's time that we get ready to fight, right? So many people have said it already. This fight is not over in June. We're gonna keep this fight going. I've been in this plaza right here many times over, where we've organized and come out, and sometimes right after that's done and we get what we need, we go back and we fall asleep as if the district hasn't been corrupt for over 20 plus years. This district is disgusting in the way that it operates. And it's time that we start to clean that cesspool out.
We are the parents. We are the ones that decide what type of education our kids get. We are the ones that control what type of school our kids deserve. We have to stop all this corruption on the district. They keep on telling us they don't have money. Yet, every single school board meeting, we find out there's thousands and thousands and millions of dollars coming into the district. Where is that money going? We all need to get together and find out where that money goes.
First of all, I want to start thanking everybody who came for the community. That if without you guys, we won't be able to be here and protest against those filthy liars up there. First of all, I want to say I am proud to be born in a country where education is a priority. But here there's a big difference because the board up there it wants us to change that. Us kids dream big. I actually want to become a lawyer in the future, but without the district, they want to keep closing our schools and they won't let me dream big like I always want to do.
The struggle for equality continues. All of the money downtown should be shifted over to the teachers who are doing the work. The election in November is critical. Ben Cedric and Mike are fighting the fight. The struggle for equality continues. Power to the people.
So we want you guys to know that this is going to take time and dedication. Your commitment to these kids is going to mean a lot to them.
We want to make it known that we're against all of our schools being closed in communities that have mostly black, brown, and many disabled students. And we would like to support and fight with the longshore workers against the privatization of the Port of Oakland. Privatization of any land, company, or community leaves out and tends to ignore the needs of the people who already exist in that community. Joining forces with other unions makes us more powerful to fight and win against those who threaten to take away our ability to create, thrive in, and maintain public resources. We are striking not because we want to, because we feel like we have to, because it seems like the board is not listening to us. So I'm asking that everybody keeps helping us with the fight, because history has shown us that if we don't fight for ourselves, nobody else will.
You know, sometimes the district closes schools, and sometimes they close the schools by putting in really lousy administrators and firing the teachers. And that's the case with Met West, which is the high school connected to La Escuelita. There is a frontal assault on the teachers there and on the students. Here to talk to us about it is Fernando, a student at Met West High School.
As you all heard, Met West is going through a crisis right now. We've had multiple teachers insulted, threatened, legal action being involved over a principal that can't handle the school. Me personally, I've been brought into an office with her with 4 staff. None of my parents were called, and she proceeded to call me a threat to her safety. So I just came up here with 2 of my communities in hand, Met West High School and La Escuelita, because both of these schools mean so much to me, and they're both going through threatening situations. I went to La Escuelita since I was 3 years old, and now I'm 15 and I'm in Met West High School. I have 2 siblings in La Escuelita. I want them to experience the same experiences that I did in that school. I want them to graduate out of there because I know personally how good of a school that is. And the board of directors don't care. They're gonna shut away the school that I lived in because of money? What about the communities and the families that need that school?
We won't let billionaire developers and greedy-ass, selfish politicians dictate to us who deserves to live and who deserves to die. Because that's what we're talking about, life and death. When you're talking about closing our schools, taking away our livelihood, pushing us out of our homes, that's murder. And we will not stand for it. And we're not fooled by their real manipulative tactics, like trying to tell us that, you know, building fancy stadiums and closing schools and building condos, obnoxious condos, are gonna be good for the people. We know better, that it's gonna somehow increase wages and increase jobs and give people housing. We know better, those are lies. And so we're very clear about that. We also know what's good for us. We know what's good for us. It's Black people who organized the reparations for Black students resolution and got the board to pass it. It's Black people who organized and got the George Floyd resolution passed. Every child on this planet is born in need. A child needs stability to thrive. A child needs consistency to grow. A child needs love to trust. What does OUSD provide? Chaos. What does OUSD provide? Irresponsibility. What does OUSD provide? A decades-long struggle for the people to educate their children. Say, stop abusing our children, stop uprooting our children, stop letting charter schools and gentrification drive out generations of Black and brown people, and stop letting decades of mismanagement and fiscal irresponsibility be the reason our children don't feel loved and included in their communities.
Whose schools? Whose schools? All right, y'all saying it's our school, so when we start to occupy these schools, I hope I see everybody out there, man, because we're not stopping, man. Shout out to OEA, man. Give it up for OEA for going on a one-day unfair labor practice strike, man. So we need to make that 7 days. Matter of fact, we need to make that indefinite until they turn over these school closures. Yeah. Bro. Can we work for that? but we also need to get those school board members out of there. So in November, 3 of those seats are up for election. If you know somebody that's running, please join SLAP, man. Join SLAP because we got a candidates forum tomorrow about the mayors. We got a candidates forum with the supervisors and the county superintendent. But we also need to hold every elected official accountable in this city that's voting to hurt and harm our black students.
So I just want to start off by letting you know that the ILWU Local 10 is definitely in the house today. And we all know what we're doing here. So basically what you have here, brothers and sisters, to keep it plain and short, is you have billionaires and corporations all over this country making a run on public resources. So down at the port, you have a billionaire who wants to build a playground right where the ILWU longshoremen work. That's a run on public resources. The port is a resource for the public. It just happens to be where we work. Out here in the schools, you have the same billionaire who's making a run on those public resources. And we have some elected officials that are paving the way for the billionaire to do this. That's right. We all know that public resources are meant for what? The public. Yeah. Public resources are meant to definitely help disadvantaged community members. Public resources are not there to enrich billionaires and corporations. So that's what we're here for. So the ILWU and the OEA decided to get together and fight this fight together. And we created an organization that is called SLAP, Schools and Labor Against Privatization. Now, if you want to get more information about what SLAP is about, because I'm going to tell you a little bit about it today, but you can log on to slapbayarea.org. That's our website, slapbayarea.org. So right now, you see a bunch of cranes sticking up in the air like this. You know what that means? That means the port is shut down right now. And to close it off, I'm gonna send a message to all of these labor leaders. All of the labor leaders who support privatization. You're on the wrong team. We're gonna start holding you accountable also. So remember that name, SLAP. Please join that organization before you leave here today, or log online and join that organization, because we are making a pathway. We are organizing in our own name. We're not going to answer to the powers that be. The powers that be is going to answer to us.
If you look across the street at all those skyscrapers, it's called City Center. You would think that means it's public property. It's actually owned by Shorenstein Corporation. They are worth $8 billion. They own skyscrapers in 45 American cities. They do not pay 1 penny towards open public education or any social services, not 1 penny. When OEA started leafleting at Shorenstein 10-15 years ago to publicize the fact that they don't pay, Shorenstein called the cops on us. Of course, we beat them back. In the city center is the headquarters of Clorox. Clorox is centered in Oakland. It doesn't pay a penny in taxes for the schools or social services. Shorenstein stands to gain hugely from the building of the ballpark and the privatization of the port, because real estate values will go up. So as we continue this struggle, they need to be one of the major targets of the OEA ILWU alliance. Shorenstein and his partners, which include Bill and Hillary Clinton and the whole Democratic administration, they are as much our enemies as the employers in the city.
So you all need to recognize what we did today is historic, and it's a demonstration of the power that we have. Now, when it comes to all this talk about funding, let me tell you this. There isn't really a budget crisis in OUSD, in Oakland, in Alameda County, or really anywhere in the United States. What there is a crisis of priorities. The priorities of the federal government, the state, the county, and the city governments are corporate priorities. What they prioritize is privatization and profit, not the well-being of workers in the community. The city of Oakland has $855 million to hand over to private developers to build a stadium at Howard Terminal, but supposedly has no money to invest in what our communities really need, like employment and education for all. Why? Well, corporate interests. That gentrifying stadium project and closing down the schools are part of a domestic war led by a corporate interest against poor and working class people in Oakland. What we should do is take that $855 million and use it to keep our schools open, use it to keep our ports open, use it to house the homeless, to feed the hungry. Now, while this war goes on at home, we gotta recognize, we workers of Oakland, that while we mourn the lives of those in Ukraine, that's not our war. That conflict is ultimately about U.S. imperialism. It's what we call a U.S. proxy war. The people of Ukraine are being used as pawns and are becoming victims of both sides. Now, let me ask you this. How does the U.S. government have literally billions of dollars ready to send for war in Europe, but can't even pass a meaningful Build Back Better bill?
We have another event that we are supporting for another organization, and it involves picketing at the Port of Oakland. And so we are supporting, I believe it's the Action Committee Against Privatization.
Greetings, family. We did it. We did it for our students and our community. A one-day unfair labor practice strike to say, hands off of our schools. Keep our community schools open. So we stand here united, and it's an honor to be here with ILWU Local 10, and we are fighting together for essential resources for our schools, to stop school closure and to stop the privatization happening here in Oakland. So Bob Mandel spoke about Clorox, and one thing I want to bring up is that Oakland students had to strike for safe schools. Teachers, we struggle for safe schools during the pandemic. Clorox has the money, and they made a killing during the pandemic. They had the money to make sure that our schools open safely. The money is there in the city of Oakland. So we all know that the school closures voted on by the majority school board in OUSD is a move to accelerate the gentrification in the city of Oakland. There's a Stanford study that shows closing schools in black neighborhoods accelerates gentrification. So we are standing here today to fight back to fight back against the school closures that has been taking away vital resources from our students. Just think about this. We have a city that is able to fund skyscrapers, able to fund stadiums, but cannot keep our schools open.
So we're gonna start walking over towards the street. We have CRC in the block that will be leading us to 1000 Broadway.
Generation after generation. Today, we are proud to be here. Today, we stand in solidarity. Today, we stand against
Shout out to the organizers. So much hard work went into all of this, and it's taken a lot of push from people who believed that we needed to take more action, and they did not stop pushing, so thank you. Something that I think about a lot right now while I'm running for this election is just participation. And one of the things that I really want to shout out is the way that the organizers of this strike from OEA and not even OEA members got a lot of people to vote for this strike. Normally our numbers in OEA are pretty low in our elections, and they somehow got way more, like hundreds more people voting to authorize this strike today. And so we need to see that type of participation with all of our elections and with all of our actions.
Brothers and sisters, I stand here because SEIU 1021 is standing with the Oakland Education Association. That's right. To send a message, and that message is, you will not close our schools. That message is, stop mismanaging funds. Oakland Unified is in the best financial situation that it has been in a very long time. And there is no reason why they need to close any schools. There is no reason why they need to divide black and brown from their communities. And we are going to stand here and we are going to fight until there are no more school closures. We got the ILWU Local 10 Real Team.
Drop to the real part. Drop to the real with a break their part. Miles, drop to the real part. Yo, look. Everywhere we go, people wanna know, who we are, where we come from, oh, we tell them, we are the union, we are the union, the mighty union, San Francisco, Local 6, Local 10, say it again, Local 10, Local 34, Local
75. Local 75. Local 91. Local 91. What time is it? Union time. What time is it? Union time. March your out.
Union! Fight! Union! Fight! When I say people, you say fight! People! Fight! People! Fight! When I say local, you say 10! Local! 10! Local! 10! Local! 10! 10! 10! Power to the teacher! Power to the teacher! Power to the teacher! Power to the teacher! One love! One love! One love! One love! One love! One love! An injury to one! Is an injury to all! An injury to one! Is an injury to all!
Let's give them a round. Let's give the drill team a round of applause. That's a lot of support right there.
OEA! 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 OEA!
So we got a mural going on over here in front of the entry to 1000 Broadway. We want some people to join in on us and color this beautiful mural so that when they come out of their offices, they see what we're talking about.
Because the working class is the class that that makes this country run, that makes the world run, right? And so if we can finish with another chant, I think I'll do the same one because I quite like it and I think it's quite militant. But strike, strike, strike! Now is the hour. Black immigrant labor power. The last word. I hope I see you all at the court in I don't know what time it is exactly, but in 30 minutes.
In 30 minutes.
Port shuttle. Here we are at Gate C. There's what, 5 different gates? Yeah. Where did all the money go? Don't give in to greedy tools. Save our port, save our schools.
The reason why we're out here is to save the union job.
What we're doing is standing in solidarity with other union workers, the ILWU Local 10, the SEIU, and the OEA, and we're showing people power. What we're doing right now is letting the union workers know that we will stand with them in solidarity to fight against the Fisher family bringing in a stadium to the port. Right now, it's not a good decision. The union workers do not want that here. It's going to stop jobs and disruptions. We just went through a pandemic, and so what we have here is going to be stopping and causing the crates to come in to serve our communities.
Looks like the workers are not coming in, right?
We've been holding the line here. We had a couple of people try to run through the gate, but we are explaining to them that this has to happen. In order for them to keep continuing working here, we have to hold these lines. We have all 5 gates shut down, so we have union workers at each site that are going to shut them down. We're going to be here and hold these lines until we need to.
And this is also connected to the teacher strike today.
This is also connected to this teacher strike because we have privatizers that are coming in. So we have Shorenstein and we have the Fisher Foundation that are coming in and buying up things that are public property and public land, public dollars that they're interrupting so that we cannot live as working class people.
The work of a lot of parents, members, teachers, and workers at the port that have been pushing and organizing for this day of action to come together. So I think it's, we have a lot of work to do, but it's really beautiful, it's really cathartic to be in this moment and seeing people from all these different backgrounds coming together. Some of these folks I've just met today and some of them have been working with a long time.
So an arbitrator came out and they ruled that we did not cause a health and safety hazard for longshoremen and that they could go to work. The longshoremen all huddled and decided that they were going to honor our picket line anyway, and so they're all heading out of the port now, and we just need to stay as long as they're still on port property so that they can't be ordered back to work.
Great.
Good?
Thank you. So we're going to stick around for a little while.
We're going to stick around for a little bit, yeah?
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Then the other person says, last gate at this person, we were closed. Jack came by and told us to call it.
This is for gate B. We're the gate down.
We're C.
Yeah.
So that's B. Alright, keep going.
Yeah, we keep going.
Never mind, Paul.
No, but we're really close to the end. We're gonna call the people over. If we confirm it.
Over.
Yeah, if we confirm it, that's it.
Alright, keep going.
Couple of more steps.
A few more steps. We're almost there.
I feel really bad.
What did they say?
We call it. We won.
We did it! Trying to accomplish. We want to say thank you to everybody out here. We have done what needed to be done. We've held these picket lines. No one has crossed them. Everyone has clocked out. There are no workers trying to turn to work today, so we can now call it a day. Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. And it took all of us to do it. So thank you all.